Yep, I just started the recording.
Nancy, can you hear us?
Just have slow Wi-Fi tonight. That's Nancy. Oh. Oh, Nancy's coming in on the phone, it looks like.
There she is.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Nancy. Barely.
How about now?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
So it is 7 and Barbara's here, and our first agenda item is the this very intriguing question of mosquito spraying.
Right. Wibby may be joining us, but I suggest we go ahead and start. So did any of you download, well, I think Laura, you said you did, download this application for municipality opt-out document from the website that was in Nancy's letter that she sent us?
I looked at it.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Looked at it online.
yeah, pretty lengthy, but so apparently the first thing that happens is that the select board has to hold a vote. I'm reading from it. And the meeting should include input on the plan from the local board of health, okay, and allow for public comment. So I'm thinking this would have to be a different meeting than
Right.
this one.
Yeah.
And the vote should include the, I mean, I don't have to read this to you. You guys can look at it, but there has to be a public record of it.
Yeah.
You can read through all this. So if we decide, or if you decide to opt out, which to me is kind of probable, knowing the general feeling in our town about using chemicals and so on, then by May 15th, we have to submit this alternate plan. I talked to Chris Craig, who's the head of the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Authority, and he said that the two basic components that must be included are a public education and public outreach component, but that in order to be approved, which it does have to be approved, we can't just submit a plan and that's it. We should include some more, he used the word robust components, such as, if you look through the application, you can see some of the things there, like collecting old tires or something. Making sure the road department looks at culverts to make sure they're sized enough so that water can run through them quickly and not stand. We don't have anyone that I'm aware of who can do surveillance, mosquito surveillance for us. I also thought about the possibility of using larvicides. Should we find, should we get mosquitoes that test positive, which are effective, and they're not out in the air like a spray would be. But in order for anyone in the town to apply a larvicide, you have to have a master's license to do that. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
So it's going to take coordination between the select board, the board of health, the road department, maybe the Concom, to come up with a plan that's going to serve the purposes and be compatible with what our capabilities are, but it's enough for them to approve, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So
Do you know, Barbara, that if for some reason they don't approve us, do we sort of get a second chance? Or does that mean they're just gonna come spray?
I didn't see or read anything about a second chance.
Okay.
They would only spray in the case of that an emergency situation was declared. I mean, you may remember we had a few triple E mosquitoes in town in one of the ponds last year. And we did educate the public, the Board of Health put out all kinds of information about West Nile and triple E. And thanks to Phil Delory, we had that electronic message board in the middle of town, if you remember that. So those are the kinds of things that we could also include in this alternate plan. But, we never know when that's going to happen. What I've read is that these mosquito outbreaks often occur in cycles and they last 2 or 3 years. Last year was the second year of an outbreak. This may be the third. And included in that last outbreak, those 2 years, there were 12 triple E cases in Massachusetts and 6 of them died. There's no treatment for triple E. There's nothing, and it's rare. It's very rare, but it's very dangerous. And then, of course, the other threat is West Nile virus, which there's vaccinations for horses, but not for people. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. It's it may never happen that we need to have spraying, but whoever thought we would have COVID either? So, we just have to be prepared.
Can I ask another question if you know?
Sure.
So when I was looking at the form, it said you can opt out just for aerial spraying. And I wondered what other spraying or other treatments would there be? And if we opt out of just aerial, do we have to go through this whole alternate process also?
Yeah, I'm looking at that too. See, the thing is, we are not a member of the mosquito control district to begin with. It costs $5,000 a year to belong.
Yeah.
And if you're a member, then they will do the surveillance, they will treat the ponds and all this other stuff. So I don't think they're going to do any of those other services for us anyway, because we're not members. And the aerial spraying is what they do if there's a, what they determine to be a public health emergency.
Okay.
I don't know if I exactly answered that question, but that's the depth of my knowledge on it.
Sounds good. I'll take it.
Okay. So I'm thinking that you guys are going to have to, plan this meeting and come up with a way to get public comment, do your vote, and, a couple of board members and I have been chatting about some things we could do. But like I said, this is not going to be just a Board of Health thing. There's going to have to be coordination among other parts of our local government to come up with a comprehensive plan as much as possible.
Right. Well, thank you, Barbara, for explaining that so clearly and laying out the options. I, for one, am very much against aerial spraying.
Yes.
Why spray people and children and dogs and animals and everybody else? I would have thought we had learned something from Vietnam when we took the advice of Dow Chemical that this Agent Orange was harmless, when they knew that it created chloracne and birth defects.
Yeah.
And had learned something from that. But to me, it's just the wrong approach to go from the air. And
yeah, when they do this,
I'm happy to do anything as a select board member to help plan out a response to this silly list of requirements that the state is asking us to jump through. But I'll be happy to work on jumping through them in order to forestall this.
All right. They do, when they spray at night. So it's not while anyone's outside or anything, just to be fair to them. But,
Right.
spraying at night when the mosquitoes are flying around, I mean, it might kill some of the mosquitoes that are flying around, but to me, a larvicide is much more effective, because if you can get them while they're still, growing in the water. So anyway,
Well, I do think we should include in our alternate plan, free fly swatters for anybody in town. And also insect repellent,
yes,
which is very effective on
Yes.
mosquitoes.
there's all kinds of things you can do locally. I was even thinking of investing some money. You know what those mosquito dunkers are? Have you ever seen those? They're these little things that you can put like in your bird baths, or like my husband and I, we collect water from our roof when it rains. So we have rain barrels. We put them in there. It's a bacterial thing. It's BTI or something, one of those. I can never remember the name of it. And it kills the larva. So that's something that we could purchase a bunch of and maybe give out to the town. We would have to, I know they sell it on Amazon, but we'll have to investigate the cost of it. But, and I think that would be an example of public outreach as well.
Sure.
So. All right, so you guys let me know, what your plan is, and then we'll get together and get this done.
Dan,
Jillian?
Yes.
And I had actually, when that first came out, I had emailed Elena Cohen from Comerford's office
Mm-hmm.
and just said, I just asked, do you know if other towns are considering alternative plans? And the only thing she sent back was some municipalities have joined those mosquito control districts. And it sounds like the closest ones to us are Shutesbury, Deerfield, Greenfield.
Right.
She said if we'd like to be connected to learn more about, she could give us that information, but she also gave me the link. It seems like it's pretty clear about how to be in touch with them, but
Yeah, but it's very
a lot of money.
expensive.
Right.
Yes. It's $5,000 a year, plus the cost of whatever they use to spray with.
Yep.
I mean, that's, I don't see how we could possibly sustain that.
Right. So I wonder if I reached back out. I mean, that was, well, it wasn't that long ago. It was April 1st that she replied.
Mhm.
If there's any, you would think there would be a number of other towns that are saying, please don't spray. Let's figure out a different way to do it.
Well, you can go, if you go to the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control
Mhm.
Authority, you can see the list of towns that belong. New Salem doesn't belong, Leverett doesn't belong. Greenfield, I had read an article where they were considering joining. I don't know, maybe they have since
They're
that
listed
article was
as on there.
printed.
Yeah, they're listed as a current member.
Okay.
But so but the towns that have not joined, have they come up with alternative plans? I was trying to think of working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, well, all I know is that, I had a little discussion with, Nancy, you're there. Do you know if New Salem has done anything about this yet?
No, it's on their meeting agenda for next week's meeting, so.
Okay.
I was just going to say, maybe this is something we need to have a budget line for. I mean, we are clearly don't want to pay the amount for this membership, but if we want to do fly swatters or whatever else, we might
Okay.
want to come up with a number that we think is reasonable. The other thought I had that I think I read somewhere was having a day at the Rats, maybe, where people can bring in their tires for free. I don't know what the cost for that would be to the town, but
Yeah,
another
that's a good
thing.
idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to investigate it, what it would cost to, get a bunch of these mosquito dunker things. I mean, they're pretty easy to buy, but I think if we give people some to start with, it would just help.
No, that's always good. Give things away.
Who doesn't like that?
I think the little bottles of mosquito repellent would be,
Yeah, we could do that too.
yeah.
We could do that too. Because it's personal. You have to protect your person and you have to protect your property wherever there's standing water.
Right.
And we can put out a lot of educational things about what people can do. You
Yeah.
know, that's not hard.
Good.
Looks like Montague is trying to opt out, so they might be somebody to talk to.
Oh, good.
Katie just put that in the chat.
Okay, thanks, Katie.
And should the select board vote on this to
This is Katie.
opt out of the mosquito control
both
program? Should you
Well,
guys do that?
If you want to opt out, yes, that has to happen, but you've got to have public comment. So you would have to probably post when your meeting is going to be, or however you want to do the public comment part. That's up to you.
Okay. Well, we could probably do it at our next meeting and
Yeah.
publicize that.
Just remember, the deadline for this plan is May 15th. Your next meeting is the 28th. Right?
Right.
So if we make the assumption that that's what's going to happen, we can start moving on this. Because it's not something you can just, throw together in half an hour or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Hi, Wibby.
Hi.
Well,
Sorry.
alternative would be to have a special meeting just for this and do it next week on a Wednesday. If we want
That's up to you.
accelerate the timeline,
That might be a good idea.
just devote one meeting to a hearing.
I'm going to be traveling next week. Wait, yeah. Vacation. It's vacation.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, that's right, school vacation, yeah.
So I don't know if I want to go to a meeting. I always could because I'm just going to be at my parents' house.
Well,
I don't know if Liam will be there though.
I'll be around if Lori, if you want, if it's a meeting you feel like you can miss, I can be there.
well, how do you feel, you two? Do it next week or the week after?
So can I the public comment sort of requirement, is there something more than just having an open meeting where people can come? Is there something more that needs to happen?
It's not really specific. It says the vote should include that public comment was allowed.
Okay. So it seems like it could just be a regular meeting because we almost always allow public comment.
Yeah, I mean, if you just let people, it's up to you how you want to do it, but
Well,
since you are the select board and you're go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
think in one place they call it a hearing, which is slightly different from a meeting because it does imply that people are going to be allowed to speak, the public, whereas some select boards don't even let the public speak. But
Right.
So we can post it as a hearing.
Well, I feel like a hearing has special posting requirements.
It
Like you have
does.
to advertise in the paper or something.
Right. Another thing you could do is like, I don't know. If there's
Can I-
some way you could just do it through like,
Can I read the language? Because I think it is just a vote. It says the municipality must hold a meeting of the city council or select board at which a vote must be taken indicating the municipality's intention to opt out of spraying.
Right,
This meeting should include input on the plan from the local board of health and allow for public comment.
right.
The vote should include the following: the date and time of the public meeting, that the Board of Health was consulted, that public comment was allowed, and whether the municipality is opting out of all spraying or only certain spray activities such as aerial spraying.
Mhm.
Yeah. It seems to me like we can vote tonight and public comment is allowed here. And this was a posted meeting with this item on the agenda.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
That's true, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to that effect?
Well, can you wait just a sec? Liam
Sure.
had to run away. And
Yeah.
he's back, but actually, since we were talking about public comment, I did get an email about this. I don't know if anybody else did. So maybe I should read it.
Sure.
It was from Gloria Kegelis. And she said, I hope Wendell is opting out. And she talked about bat houses as an option, so that's another good thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Have a bat house making workshop.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
very good.
standing water removal as
Yeah.
a mitigation plan. And that's basically what she said. I can send that to everybody if you want. I
Okay,
mean, there's a little
Well,
more,
thank
but
you, Gloria. That sounds good to me.
I like that idea.
Yep.
Mhm.
okay. So Nancy, I keep meaning to ask, so it says something about a certified vote. Is that anything different? Like, do you think it's just they're gonna look at the minutes or?
So when the minutes are signed, generally when it's certified, we can just put on there, attest a true copy, and I can sign it. Or we can ask the town clerk to sign it and put the town seal on it.
Okay. All right, so we'll just do this and put it in the minutes and then you can do all that follow-up. And that sounds good?
The one other part that we need to be clear about is whether the municipality is opting out of all spraying or only certain spray activities such as aerial spraying. If a vote does not include that it is for a specific type of spraying, the vote will cover all spray activities conducted by, it's an acronym, SRMCB, under the Mass General Law.
Well, that's what we want, right? People don't
All
want any
spraying.
spraying at all.
Right.
I'm just making clear, we have to have that in the vote, or
Yeah.
vote no spraying at all. Yep.
I mean, you guys are gonna vote. We, Board of Health isn't in this vote. It's just the select board.
Mhm.
So,
I can make a motion that we opt out of all mosquito spraying for this season. I don't know if in the motion we have to say we've consulted with the Board of Health and had public comment, and that is what the board has decided, or that is what we are making a motion for.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous, and we're on our way.
yeah,
Great.
And
okay.
we will meet with you again, Barbara, as needed, but we've got a whole list of ideas here about
Yeah.
a alternative plan.
You might want to clue into the road department
Yep.
that there may have to be some inspections of culverts, things like that.
Yep.
Yes, so actually, even though we've done the vote, we still need to fill out that form. So we need to sort of plan. I don't think we want to do that at a meeting.
We,
Or I assume we don't. So,
Right.
or maybe we need a subcommittee or just another meeting time to work
Dan,
on
I
it.
could work on it with you next week if that's helpful.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
I'll be happy to work with whomever too.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the quorum will be an issue,
Oh,
but so it could be that either Barbara and Gilly work on it and Dan and Nancy,
right.
Oh,
you want to be
yeah.
careful about it. You can find
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
ways around communicating through that.
Yep.
okay.
I mean, it looks like a 9-page application. I could get it started and then send it to Barbara and Dan, and you could take it from there.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Also, if you read it carefully, you don't necessarily have to fill out all the parts of it.
Mhm.
So,
And don't forget that Montague is doing this, so they might be a resource.
Right.
Okay.
okay. So Gillian, if you want to, just let me know. Email me, let me know when you're available and we can work something out. And
Okay.
Wibby, if she's available or if she has time, we'll see.
Sure.
We'll just put it out
Great.
to the Board of Health and. Okay,
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good.
all right.
Thanks,
So you done
Barbara.
with us?
I think so. Thanks for
Okay,
coming.
thanks.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, Wibby.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh,
Bye.
Barbara,
Yes.
did you want to ask everybody your question about the wedding?
Oh, yes.
before you
Oh, that's
leave?
right. Yes.
Yeah, because I asked Lori before, but not everybody was here. You know about the wedding coming up in September.
Right.
Are you guys all okay with allowing the wedding guests to use the bathrooms in the town hall? You know, we'll put spray disinfectant in there and we'll instruct them to, you know, spray down everything after each person uses the bathroom. Are you okay with that?
The one question that had popped up before is currently, I guess, the Good Neighbors
Mhm.
tables and everything are being left out. I don't know if that'll still be occurring then, but I would say if it is still occurring, it would make it just might be more challenging to use the bathrooms because they have tarps down on the floors. And
Well, you know what, if I'm sure they'd be willing to move a few tables, you know, once.
right. I
mean-
think somebody will just need to coordinate that to make sure that happens.
Okay. I don't remember what day of the week the wedding is on, but we can check. Well, I don't even know if they've selected a specific day yet, but
My memory is it's a Saturday, which would be
okay.
the day before Good Neighbors. But
Okay.
actually, I think Good Neighbors does leave the bathrooms available. They don't put any tables in front of those doors. So
Yeah,
I don't think it would be a big deal to get people in there.
okay. We
I
can
was just
check, I can
thinking
check with
there'd be
Nancy
more-
about that, but
Yeah, I was just thinking there'll be more stuff depending on, you know, how many people are going in and out. Good Neighbors should be aware that.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yep.
And I don't remember how many stalls are in those bathrooms. I haven't been in there so long.
Like,
Anybody know?
Two.
There's 2 in each one? Okay.
I don't know about the men's.
right.
We can take a
Bye.
peek, Barbara.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you. We're trying to see if they need extra porta johns and how many and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So it looks like the low-income community solar, I had sent you an email from Colonial Power. They're looking for you to sign on to a project that won't be finished until the end of 2021, but the solar developer needs to get his financing. And I know that, Laura, you were talking to other town energy committees, and I wasn't sure where the select board stands on signing on to any of these right now. So I told him I would pass it along.
Yeah, well, I've definitely talked to a few people who've said it might not be a good idea to sign on right away, both because the DPU has not approved this yet. So, and that might take a year. So it's unfortunate for these solar developers that they just don't have things in place. And, you know, signing on to a contract when you really don't know, you know, DPU might either not approve it or approve it in a way that doesn't fit with the contract. So that was one thing. The other thing that Zara from New Salem may have already told the New Salem board is that she's hoping to reach out and find a way to make sure we're getting the best rate by putting out an RFP rather than just taking the first person who comes and makes an offer. So she's going to talk to Colonial about that, and I figured we could decide if we want to sort of join with her in that request, because I'm feeling that Colonial is going to have to, you know, be doing this for several towns together. And so if we, you know, we could both sort of ask them if that's a possibility and what they think about that. And the other thing that when I just briefly skimmed and tried to read through the contracts, one thing that concerned me a little bit was it made it sound like signing this 20-year contract is also signing, it's also committing us to using Colonial for 20 years, is what I understood. It might not be the case, but so that's a little different than what we are doing with this aggregation, right? We had, do you remember when their contract is up, Nancy?
I don't.
But it's probably just a couple of years, right?
Yeah, I think it was at least a 3-year contract, but it may have been more.
So I don't know if that, I think that that's just something we could consider, that if that's really how we want to approach that part of this whole thing. And, you know, we might need we probably definitely need a lawyer to read it and understand if that's truly what's going on. But, so that was my other concern. And the overriding thing is that I think in general, the town can wait and maybe should wait, because the DPU is not going to make a decision anytime soon to make this something that is going to go ahead.
And I mean, the language here is saying that the solar developer needs to have signed contracts to build. I can't imagine Little Warwick and Little Wendell make all that much of a difference.
I think it's the city of North Adams that makes the big difference, and then they're looking for small towns just to fill in.
Yeah. But it does make me a little uncomfortable feeling pressured to sign on for this developer without having a better understanding of the commitment that we'd be making.
Okay, I can email him back and tell him all those things.
I mean, at some point, we're going to want the lawyer to look at it, but maybe not. I don't know what other people think, if that's that time is now, or if we want to wait. I would probably say we should wait.
I think waiting makes sense till the DPU gets everything lined up, at least, yeah.
And do people like the idea of what Zara is going to ask about an RFP? Can we support her on that request with Colonial?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay. So at our last meeting, we talked about reverse 911, and we had a question about where they get their phone numbers to start their database with. And he did say that they didn't use just Verizon numbers. They purchased this whole database that includes information from the big credit companies, Experian, and they seem to think that we would have probably 80% coverage right off the bat, that they would provide flyers about how to sign up to inform people, and it seemed like it was a fairly straightforward and easy process to get people informed through our newsletter and through their flyers. So I think we left it that the FinCom was considering this an essential service and they were going to put it in the budget.
I think that's right. Yep.
So if everybody is still okay with that, then we'll just move forward.
Sounds
Yes.
good to me.
I think we are.
Okay. So Lori, I think you had asked about the next thing, the FERCog pollinator program.
Yep. So let's see if I can remember. The FERCog we did some pollinator work with them and came up with a plan. And the pollinator protector group, I can't remember what we officially called ourselves, worked with them on that. And as part of that, they went out to get an even bigger grant to do more pollinator work. And there's several towns in Franklin County that are involved in it. And part of that is to create a design for a pollinator garden or plot or on town property. And the pollinator protectors decided they would rather just be planting and doing sort of hands-on work. So Helena from FERCog reached out to me and a few others about, I think she just sort of needs some stakeholders that are, wanting to have this done. So I talked with Ray because he's on open space, and we just figured it's a free, they're doing this as part of the grant. It's free. They just need a little bit of guidance and sort of somebody to look at it, and there's no obligation. So we told them that Fisk Pond might be a good site, and so Helena is going to work on a pollinator design for Fisk Pond, and I
Oh.
guess I'm just hoping that's okay.
Yeah.
Because Ray and I decided.
It sounds great.
And yeah, so when we get it, we'll share it widely with whoever's might have interest, and then we can possibly use it for future grant applications within open space or other recreation, anything that's involved in designs like this can strengthen a lot of different grant applications. So
Great.
maybe we can
Sounds great
actually.
to me. And do you know an idea how big a space they're thinking of?
No, she said it's going to be very preliminary, and we told her it has to be native and it has to fit with the landscape because of that. Fisk Pond has a CR, so it will have to be very specific to the site there. So I think it's going to be sort of there's a word that I can't think of right now. It's not going to be very specific. It's going to give you sort of a broad idea of what might be able to be done.
Okay, great. Thanks for doing that.
Yep.
Okay, so then we had a request from Adam Cole about the pollinator group leading a plant and insect walk around the town common on May 1st at 1 p.m., writing to make sure there isn't any conflicting use for that time and date and notify you of our intentions. We will set a limit of 10 participants. I mean, all that sounded fine, but I told him I would put it on the select board agenda.
Sounds good to me.
Good to me. Okay, that's unanimous.
So then we come to the town coordinator position. The ongoing saga.
Yeah. My apologies for making this suggestion that is fraught with extenuating circumstances, but it might just be the time. We were talking about looking for a new coordinator with New Salem, and then in discussions with the Finance Committee, the question arose, do we need perhaps more attention from the town coordinator than we're getting from a part-time coordinator with New Salem? In other words, the job is getting bigger, and maybe Wendell could benefit by having somebody spending more time doing the town coordinator's position job. So we looked at it financially and came up with an alternative plan that Wendell would advertise for a coordinator that would work just for Wendell, but it would be more than a part-time position. It would be a 3/4 time position. So it would have benefits. And when we discussed this Wendell only option at the last meeting, Nancy pointed out very realistically that it would be hard to get somebody to do a part-time job when there are so many full-time coordinator positions open at the moment, especially. And so this alternative plan tried to rise above that problem by expanding the job to 30 hours a week from its current 20 hours a week. And then the Finance Committee came up with the idea of using some of those extra hours to support other town offices in roles that are currently being paid for out of other town budgets. So if this person were, for example, to be the assessor's clerk for an extra few hours a week, that money that's being budgeted for assessor's clerk could go to this person's salary. So we would be able to come up in total with a salary that would be able to attract somebody for a 30-hour-a-week job. So that's the concept. It that definitely has some downsides. But I think the biggest one is that it doesn't leave New Salem in the best position at such short notice. But I would hope they would figure out a way to treat it as an opportunity, maybe for their expansion of that role in New Salem. But what do folks think about this alternative plan?
I think I like it for many reasons. I am curious if the New Salem knows anything about the fact that we are reconsidering. Have they been told?
So they have not been told in a formal meeting because this came up after their last meeting. I did briefly talk to the treasurer, thinking that she would be upset. She's also on the finance committee, and she said it's probably time. You know, the job really has expanded. It will be on next week's select board meeting, and I don't, you know, they're going to have to set parameters about whether they're going to make it a 20-hour-a-week position, which would still be benefited by state law. If it's over 20 hours, it has to be benefited in a municipal setting, or you know, if they want to up the number of hours. That'll be decisions that they'll have to look at and make. But, you know, that's up to them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lori, I did speak with Randy Gordon, the chair, 2 weeks ago about this as a possibility. And then I just spoke with him this last weekend in detail about our possible plan. And I think he understands completely the situation.
Good. Okay. And I don't know if this shouldn't necessarily be part of our thinking, but will that make it less likely that they'll pay the fire chief benefits?
That's a good question.
I don't know that was, I don't know that it's going to be any less likely or more likely. I think that they were either going to do it or they weren't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that FinCom feels very strongly that they don't want to support this. And I know at town meeting, their recommendations carry a great deal of weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good answer.
I support this move as well. It is pretty amazing the work that does get done by our current town coordinator and the time that she has. And I do see room as well for the opportunity to assist other parts and other business in town in that coordinator role.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if we're able to budget for it and make it work, I think it would benefit us.
Good.
So I did have
agree, and especially to your last point, that if the person is fulfilling roles in other departments, it really strengthens the town in more ways than one, because it really promotes communication and understanding between the various boards and departments, and could be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Nancy has done that on her own and has really networked many departments and done that, but an official role in one might also be helpful.
Yes, and I was speaking to Anna Seeger tonight, and I think that the assessors, she asked me to text them when we were having this conversation, and I did, and I don't see that they're signing on. I think they're very concerned that, you know, they're not going to have a say in having somebody placed in that clerical job in their office, and obviously we would be talking to them. But it certainly would be nice if they would work with us on this, because you know, that could be a pretty good chunk of the money that could help pay for this. And that's always been my concern with, you know, Wendell financially creeping so close to our levy limit that, you know, we just want to make sure that everything isn't strapped trying to pay for this person. But I know that I think the planning board has money in their budget for clerk that they don't currently have. I don't know if the Board of Health may be interested. Again, they have specific needs and requirements, and just because the select board likes this person, I don't know if the Board of Health and the assessors will be happy with them. And also the financial director position that I have, I said that, you know, I'd be fine giving that up, and they could use that funding to go towards paying this person the extra hours. I did have one question, Dan, because you said it was intentional, that you were saying you were going to start this person on or about June 19th.
Right.
It made my heart kind of flutter because we don't have anything to pay her for 2 weeks. And then I said, I don't want to train somebody for 6 weeks. What?
Yeah, we can change that. I forgot about the fiscal year for one thing. And I was interested in getting maybe a little more overlap with you, but it doesn't have 6 weeks.
Well, I mean, even 2 weeks is 40 hours of training. That's quite a bit of training.
Yep.
And many of the things that I do, I can show her how to do them, or him or her, but it won't happen. She may not see this again for 6 months, and she's not going to remember what I taught her anyway.
Yeah. So what would you suggest for a starting date?
I was looking at July 19th, I believe is, let me just get my calendar.
So Nancy, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If it is just for Wendell, it won't be.
Yep.
Are you saying 2 weeks would be 40 hours or 1 week would be
Yes,
40?
2
2
weeks would be
weeks.
40
Okay.
hours.
All right. All right. I got that.
So it's July 20th in Wendell is the Tuesday date. And then she would have a select board meeting on the 21st. I mean, you know, it's fine if we want to back it up the week before, but again, we'd have to check with the FinCom because that's, you know, another week's pay.
And you're leaving at the end of July, Nancy?
Yes. I'll technically be on vacation through August and the first part of September, but my last day is July 30th of actual working.
Okay. Well, I think we can say July 20th for now, if everybody agrees. That sounds okay to me.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and since now we're sort of scaling this back, it's not 2 towns, can we cut down where we're going to advertise the job? Would we like to keep the advertisement local?
I don't think there's any harm in putting it in the central register since it's free.
Okay.
And if there's a problem with somebody being from far out of town, that's a problem that will come up in the interviews. I would definitely want to see it go in the Montague Reporter because that does cover a lot of Wendell territory. And then maybe the Greenfield Recorder.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Yes. And Nancy, I think I sent you something about being able to post at UMass.
Yep. Okay, so
and then
all of these
sorry,
all
we
of
could
these
post.
free things are good, but the papers, just so you're aware, I think we discussed this last time, the ad for the highway department person for 2 days in Athol and Greenfield was, I don't know, over $300, I think. And I'm a little concerned about what budget we're going to pay for these, and we're not splitting it with New Salem anymore, so we have to come up with all the money.
And you said just Athol is cheaper, Nancy?
I think so. You know, those papers have, because when I went to put it in Greenfield, I specified I wanted it in Athol too, and they said it automatically went in both. So I'm not sure if we can just do Athol anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Have to check.
And that was for 3 days.
2 days.
Well, we could cut it down to 1 day, maybe.
Yep. Yep.
Still be legal, and anybody that's really looking for a job would probably see it.
And maybe we could put it out on the listserv as well.
We can do that.
Okay.
And Nancy, what's the legal turnaround time if we post this? How long does somebody have to respond?
In the central register, I think you have to give people 2 weeks, and that's 2 weeks after it gets advertised, and there's a cutoff day, I think, on Tuesday. So if I tried to get it in the central register for the 20th, I think like May 4th, we could start accepting applications anytime after that.
And I would say I'll share it, help share it on social media and the next door piece, and that would also hit some local people exposure.
So, yeah. And when do you want a cutoff for accepting applications, or can we just put it will be open until filled? We could leave it open-ended.
That sounds good to me, open-ended.
I think so.
And is the ad copy looking okay to everybody? Nancy?
Yeah, it looked fine to me.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
Okay. Rather momentous decision, but cross your fingers.
Yep.
I think it'll be for the good overall.
Very good. Okay. So are we all set with that, you think?
I think so.
Okay, so the next thing, I was talking, had a lengthy conversation with Doug Tanner about what's left in this year's budget and what we're trying to defer until next year and what we can and can't afford. And obviously, there's not a lot of money, you know, for building maintenance next year of any sort. But I had gone back to an old email from Jim Slavis about some things he wanted to do. One of them was some circulator pumps that were replaced with Green Communities money, so that's already done. Another thing was replacing the glycol at the library and town office building, and I believe we have enough money in this year's budget to do that. And the other was we were trying to put away $5,000 a year for 3 years to make the switch over from the Johnson control system for the town office and library. But his most recent email seems to indicate now that the library has another heating system involved, that might be kind of complicated. And I almost felt like he was backing off that, at least for this year.
Okay.
So we're going to try and move forward with this glycol, do it under this year's budget, so we can take some of the pressure off of next year.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then future use of the Wendell Police Department. Looks like Margie has sent off a grant to do some work in that building.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It looks like we might be lucky and get a fairly large grant, and we just found out that it can include capital improvements. So they suggested completely redoing the old police department and turning it into a satellite police department for Leverett, and really redoing the whole building, tearing everything out, re-insulating it, turning it into a green building, putting in a bathroom. And Phil went through the whole thing with Scott and drew up a very comprehensive list and went through it with a couple of contractors and came up with a price of $80-something thousand to spruce up the building and get it super functional. And the people who our consultants at the Collins Center seem to think that this was within reason. So Margie put in a grant application that totaled $100-something thousand, including the cost for the consultant. And I think we hear on that very soon.
Right, because I think it's rolling, right? Is it rolling, or is it, or no, there's a deadline and they let us know?
I think there's a deadline. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the deadline is within, I don't know, 10 days or so, something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yep. And it was a good group effort putting that together. So we'll see what happens.
And I think it would be very beneficial to be having that space usable.
I think it would really help, and it would give them a little presence here in town and put a face on our police department. And they've talked about it being very helpful if they have to interview somebody, for example, from Wendell, let's say an abuse victim or something like that, they could take the person to that space instead of taking the person all the way to Leverett. So it'd be a little easier on everybody.
Though I did see one of the police officers at the Wendell Country Store again today, so I think they're making their own. They're making themselves comfortable in town, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I think they like the store,
Yeah.
like everybody else.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that's all for the police department.
Okay, the next item on here, I debated putting this on. I'm not sure if this is something better covered in an executive session or if you are interested in discussing this particular complaint in an open meeting.
Well, I don't have any problem discussing it in an open meeting, unless someone else does. If anybody has a problem, we can do it in executive session.
I don't think so. Do you know, Nancy, if it fits under one of the executive session topics?
Yeah,
It
I
does.
think it does.
It's a
Okay.
personnel issue, so it does. Could. Doesn't have to.
Okay, I'm fine without having a executive session.
Okay. So as you're aware, I let you know that we got a service of complaint and notice of investigative conference from the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination. A former employee has determined that he was discriminated against on the basis of his race and color. He is a white male. So I have a call into the insurance company because I think these are the kind of actions that they would like to be involved in, and they may in fact assign us one of their legal people rather than take this through town council, so it doesn't directly cost us money. I have not heard back from her yet, but hopefully I will be hearing from her soon. There currently is a teleconference that has been set up for August 17th at 1:30. Your attendance at the investigative conference is mandatory. Unfortunately, this was addressed only to me. I'm going to be talking to the insurance company to make sure that you guys get to share in this fun. We also required to submit a formal written answer to the complaint called the position statement within 20 days of the receipt of this notification, 21 days. So that's something that we need to look at fairly soon to get something in that. And I was thinking, you know, maybe Dan, you and I can look this over when you're in to come up with something. And again, I'm waiting because it also says that your attorney should sign the position statement, and we should talk to, if we're not going to get representation through the insurance company, then we need to talk to Kopelman and Page about having them help us out.
Right. Okay, sounds good.
The fun continues.
So
Okay.
Nancy, just when is that 21 day?
Well, this was mailed at the end of March. We did not receive it then, but it would be sometime next week. I think if we get it to them by the end of the week, we would be okay.
Okay.
All righty. And then from the ridiculous to the sublime, we have gotten a request. At first, I honestly thought it was a joke, but it's not. I'm very sorry to have insulted. From Richard Little, Professor Emeritus at Greenfield Community College. He is asking for the Select Board's support to sign a petition to preserve the Franklin County armored mudballs. These are apparently rock specimens, and we have 2 pages of interesting information about them that I'm not going to go into, but apparently They are an official geological phenomena that occurs here in Franklin County, and they would like to make them the state's official sedimentary structure. And there is a place where you can sign on if you're so interested. And there's
Yeah,
pictures.
I'm interested. I think they're amazing things, and I think we should support it 100% and support Mr. Little, absolutely.
Okay,
I'm on board.
I'll leave this out for your signature.
I'm having to look it up so I know what I'm signing.
They are beautiful.
There's
And unique.
pictures you can look at when you sign.
I think they're unique in the whole world, as far as I know.
That's what we read too.
Huh.
Created by the river or the glacier or some combination.
Oh, and there has been dispute about them. Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll have to look it up and check it out. Thank you.
So we also, at the next meeting, we're going to have a more lengthy discussion, hopefully one that will involve the highway department about the rats free store. But I
Right.
think we were just going to touch on it tonight because
Right.
people were concerned that they didn't have enough notice to come in and talk.
Yeah, let me just say, Dom is asking a couple of questions on the previous things. He says, can the newspaper see a copy of the formal complaint?
If you
Which-
talked about it in open meeting, he can. Yep.
Okay. And he also just wanted Mr. Little's first name,
Richard.
Oh,
Richard,
Richard.
right?
little Richard. Yeah, you know, before I release all this stuff to Dom, I will have to run it by the insurance company's counsel first. I would feel a little more comfortable with that.
Yeah, good idea.
Because I know there's information in here that really isn't public.
Okay, good.
Sounds good. I don't know if I was supposed to talk about the free store. I may have started it, but Sean contacted me upset. I can't remember now how she had learned that the road commission was thinking of closing it. And I told her that, you know, we'd be talking about it and maybe there should be a committee and things like that. And then she sent it to the listserv. So that got people talking. But my thought was just to basically tonight just say this is something that I think that requires discussion with the road commission to help make this decision. And hopefully we can, I feel that we should try to find a solution that allows it to remain. And everyone I run into and all the emails we got have indicated they think that too. So I'm just hoping we can have the road commission come next meeting and figure out a solution with them.
Yeah, I think we can easily figure out a solution with the road commission because their concerns are logistical and financial, and whatever it takes to overcome those, we can figure out a way to do it because yeah, I've supported the free store for forever since it became the free store, and it's a big part of town, and it's very important ecologically, environmentally, logistically. So we'll
Yep.
find a way to keep it going, I think.
Mhm.
Great.
I would agree. There seems to be enough support that there can be a way to figure it out.
It may mean a lot of volunteer work, but I think that's available.
And I think too, if we're really clear about the expenses associated with it and why people need to be really careful about what they donate
Yeah,
to the free
Mhm.
store, so that it isn't just a spot where people are dumping things they might have to pay for. And that's one of the reasons, you know.
yeah, I agree. Any other items, Nancy?
That's all I have.
I was just gonna, I'm looking at the old business, and since we want to have the road commission next time, maybe we can also have them there to update the speeding, the speed limit signs that we had discussed back when the ground was frozen, and now it's not.
Yep.
So we can revisit that with them and make sure we know what signs we still want to be adding, and that they're on their schedule.
Good idea. Let's do that.
I thought of one other thing too, was, I don't know if it would work at our next meeting, if that doesn't feel too full. But maybe to request a meeting with the assessors. Just, I feel like we need to iron out some things and be really clear about our support for their office and the work that they're doing, and make sure that we're on the same page. So
That's
I'd like to
a good idea.
request that we have a chance to meet with them.
Yep.
I know they're working really hard.
So I can respond to Anna's email and ask her to come in to discuss their concerns, if that works at the next meeting.
That sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't have anything else. Any other thoughts?
I don't think I do.
Okay, well, a lot of momentous decisions in record time. Good job, everybody. And do we want to pick a time for tomorrow for signing?
I will try to do before 9.
Great. And I can probably do 10.
I might have to be later in the afternoon tomorrow, because I'm gonna go into Greenfield in the morning, so.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
See you all then.
Thank you
Thanks,
all. Thank you,
Nancy.
Nancy.
All right.
Everybody.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you, Liam.